This is Jay, and I like to share my story. There's an old hospital in our province. It's not much to look at. Some parts are falling apart, the paint is peeling, and the hallways always seem dim no matter how many lights they put up. But it's cheap, and the doctors there are known to be good, so people keep coming. What most people don't know, though, is the story about the ghost of a child that haunts the hospital. Tess, a janitress who's worked there for years, was the one who told me the story. She said it happened one night while she was cleaning the third floor. It was past 10 and the whole floor was quiet as usual. But as she mopped the hallway, she felt a strange sensation, like someone was watching her. At first, she thought it was just a patient wandering around, so she ignored it. But when she turned around, there was no one there. A few minutes later, she heard the distinct sound of a ball bouncing. Thud, thud, thud. The sound echoed through the hallway, and her heart began to race. There were no children admitted on the third floor, and certainly no one playing at that hour. She followed the sound, her hands gripping the mop tightly. It led her to the end of the hallway, near an old storage room that hadn't been used in years. Lying in front of the door was a small, worn-out ball. When she bent down to pick it up, a soft giggle broke the silence. "Haha, are you looking for me?" Tess froze. Slowly, she turned her head and saw a little boy sitting in the corner of the room. His face was pale, his clothes dirty, and there was a deep wound on his forehead. She screamed and ran down the stairs, not stopping until she was outside the hospital. The next day, she told her co-workers about what she saw. One of the older nurses nodded knowingly. "That must have been Arnold," she said. According to the nurse, Arnold was a boy who died in the hospital many years ago. He had been playing tag with some other children when he fell down the stairs. Since then, people have reported seeing him on the third floor. They say he doesn't mean any harm. Most of the time, he just plays with his ball or peers out the windows. But there are stories about what happens when someone tries to scold him or tell him to leave. One night, a new nurse saw Arnold in one of the rooms, thinking he was just a child who got lost. She told him, "This isn't a place to play. Go home now." The moment she said that, the lights on the floor flickered and went out. A loud crash came from the operating room, where a tray of surgical tools had fallen to the ground. Since then, no one dares to confront the boy. If you hear the sound of a ball bouncing in that hospital, they say it's best to ignore it. Don't follow the sound. Don't try to find him, because if Arnold decides he likes you, he might invite you to play with him and you might never leave. The end.